We are Movie Menu Reviews, recently bought by Netflix. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing The Lovebirds. Movie menu, movie menu, the movie menu, movie menu, movie menu, movie menu. Welcome everyone, I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast, live through Zoom. Joining me today is my two turtle doves, my senior panelist and co-host, Z!
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how
Welcome
you
back.
doing?
This is the worst reality show ever.
It's actually, the aliens would think it's entertaining because of my co-host, Mike Stan, who's always entertaining to aliens for some reason.
Aliens are entertaining to me too, so it's a mutual
It's a
friendship.
mutual respect that they have.
He speaks their language. That's really what it comes down to.
I do. I go nanu nanu like that. That's the language. I speak nanu nanu.
Speaking of secret languages, we have a bunch of movie news stories to cover, so let's go ahead and get right to that. First thing up, SAG-AFTRA is requiring members to seek union approval for work due to coronavirus. So SAG-AFTRA, which is the union for actors, the Screen Actors Guild, and then also for film and television. So if actors want to go ahead and receive work, whether it's within the studio services or a smaller sense like an independent film, in order to do so in this time, they are required to seek approval from their union. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's smart and a good way for safety amongst, there's I believe there's 160,000 actors that's currently under SAG-AFTRA. 160,000 performers that are under SAG-AFTRA right now. Do you guys think that's a good thing to do? Do you think it's really restricting for actors who are trying to get work right now? What are your thoughts?
I think that is a common thing for the unions to protect their workers. So it doesn't sound out of place for them to do that.
So let's just to be straight. They're asking for SAG actors to get cleared first by their union before they could go back to acting. Is that correct?
Correct. Well, usually when you try to use a SAG or AFTRA actor, there's contracts involved to make sure that things, because they're within the union, they have a pay scale. They have this is how they get to do their insurances and all this stuff. So now included with that is submitting that they are going to do this project, I guess, so that way they could get approved for them to go on set.
Right. I think that that's just the new reality, right? Like, it's just where we're currently at. We are not past coronavirus. We are living with coronavirus for the next, until the cure is found. And I think until then, any and all precautions to make sure that people on set do not get the coronavirus and subsequently die because of it. I don't think anyone should be complaining about any precautions being done. I think that it does feel a little bit like they're infringing, but I think that, I work in the mental health field. Dan, you work in the mental health field. We got to be TB tested. We have to be checked out to make sure that we are, not
just that. We also have to get a background check too. That
totally
takes extra time.
Right, which we know that SAG will not do because they allow rapists on there anyways. But that's the point. That's beside the point. Like, that's the Me Too movement. That's a different story. But I think that overall, like, if you're going to take precaution, and you got to get cleared first by a doctor or by anybody, schedule your doctors right now, get everything taken care of. It's a precaution to make sure that you are saving lives. Look at it as like a means to do one goodwill for people. That's it.
I don't think it's a sense like they're making sure that the actors are getting tested. I think it's really like how is the production being produced? Is it are they requiring them to be 6 feet apart? Is there people wearing masks? It's more so that the whole production is approved. So this is a quote from SAG-AFTRA themselves. Members must contact the union to ensure that they are accepting work for SAG-AFTRA has evaluated and established that the producer employer has made provisions for and met adequate health and safety standards. So it's basically so SAG-AFTRA can inspect film production that's going on to make sure that it's safe and healthy for their clients, who are the actors, to be involved in.
Yeah,
So
rock
I think
on.
that's
So,
a pretty,
so let's.
I think
yeah,
that's a
go
good
ahead.
thing because that's really ensuring that film productions are now evolving in order for them to have SAG-AFTRA actors in their productions. They're going to have to abide by these new health concerns and be more safe conscious when they are producing movies or TV, which I think that's only works for the benefit of not spreading coronavirus. So that's a good thing. But the only thing I'm worried about is like independent films are going to be required SAG-AFTRA actors, or productions are going to require non-SAG-AFTRA actors, so they can go around this loophole. That's my only concern.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like if you're going to do this with the Screen Actors Guild, then the PGA has to be involved, the Producers Guild Award, the Directors Guild, Guild Awards, the Directors Guild, the Producers Guild, they all need to be on board and on the same page. Safety is everything, if an actor loses their life, which we know plenty have due to the coronavirus, if a technician on set, dies from this, like that's a big fucking deal. Because what are you going to do? You got to shut down the production right
morally,
after.
Morally, it's awful, but it's also a liability business wise. So
that's what I was going to say. It's like, do they really want to be responsible legally to being sued because they didn't take the correct precautions? That's basically it.
So this, I'm sure this story is going to develop some more. And let's go ahead and move on to the next story, which is a more positive story. So Taika Waititi had worked with some awesome actors to create a reading for James and the Giant Peach for charity. They got some really great stars like Chris Hemsworth, Meryl Streep, Cate Blanchett, Ryan Reynolds, Benedict Cumberbatch, and so much more. What did you guys think about this article? That's something positive in the news, which is great. Them doing this reading for James and the Giant Peach.
I mean, I kind of feel like there are a lot of people already doing this. I think this is awesome just to watch. So I think it's cool. I don't.
Yeah, it's going to be a 10-episode reading.
Yeah,
and you can go to our Facebook page to get the link to when the dates are and the times and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I mean, listen, anything that actors and producers and people like Taika, like a great director, they're doing to spend their time and still be creative. It's still awesome to watch that. I have seen a lot of great production work done right now during COVID, so I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's it'll be a fun thing to watch all these this all-star cast reading James and the Giant Peach. It'll be fun if they redid the claymation to this new book read through, if possible, to the film, If I'm hoping think that's for kind a fan,
the expectation too, right? It's like if you do this during COVID and people are doing the recordings and they're doing it the right way, somebody can animate over it.
Yeah. I'm hoping for some fan artwork along with this fun audio that's going to exist.
That's a great idea, and we should mention that Taika is teaming up with Partners in Health, which is a social organization that helps vulnerable communities around the world to fight COVID-19. So it's a great charity as well. So it's all in all a win. We get entertained, but we also can help people. So definitely check it out. Again, go to our Facebook page to find the article, link to it, or in our episode notes, we will have the link as well. So you can go ahead and enjoy and maybe support if you can. Next up, we got some more movie news. This one is interesting. The Academy Awards is considering postponing 2021.
Yep.
What do you guys think about that news? So last week we covered about them changing the rules for documentaries not having to be screened in theaters for a week because of what's been going on. But now there are rumors. These are just rumors, we should say. But that this is from a Variety article that source really close to the Academy Awards says it's likely they're going to postpone. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think they should carry on, just change the rules? So, what do you think?
Well, this is a rumor. So, what do you guys think is the likelihood that this is real? Like percentage-wise, what do you think this is real?
40% real.
Okay, Mike.
I don't know. I'll go with 50-50 here. Actually, no. I think because of all these other films that are continuing to get pushed back, these major films, it does kind of make sense that this would happen. So I'll say this is actually.
But I mean, we're gonna get later in the news stories we'll talk about. But there are some movies that are coming out in a couple months in theaters.
Okay,
so,
but we go ahead, Mike. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say maybe this is more like a 60%.
I was gonna say this is more 70-30 than anything else. Just because I feel that.
Wait, which one is just like which one is 70? Which one's 30?
Yeah,
as in 70 likelihood that this is going to happen, that they're going to postpone 2021. And I'll say this much: unless the studios are willing to put their movies into movie theaters, knowing that no one's going to go watch them, if they do that, then we'll see 2021 actually happen. Because all the Academy, the rules of the Academy are that you have to have a movie in a theatrical release for 7 days, right? That's the rule. Netflix has notoriously fluxed this rule because they want to get their movies into the Academy Awards. So they've been bribing and they've been figuring things, not bribing, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Like they've been using, any means to put a movie into a movie theater. So the Academy is holding true to that stipulation that a film needs to be in cinema for 7 days. If they can't do that, which I don't think they can, then I think that postponing it makes sense. So I would say 70% this is true. And I think that the reality is it would be unfair to moviegoers and unfair to films in general of the year to say that a small crop of films that manage to finagle their ways into a movie theater, those are the ones that are like, it's a little lame to think about, right? Like, what if all of a sudden this was the year in which Catwoman gets released in movie theaters and it wins the Academy Awards? Just think about that.
That's a good point, Z.
Z, I think you have a very high regard to the public because we are in a bubble here in LA and we know what's right and what's wrong here, but there is a whole area of the United States and the world who are currently at this moment not following any of the rules that they should be following,
and they're being affected and dying off. Exactly. So yes, I agree.
But,
I think,
but
without
that's besides the point. Whether
yes.
they're not going to get that's they are not caring. So they are going to want to go to the theaters and watch this now, not be postponed, whatever. So there's something to be said about these people. So I don't know if it's going to be completely postponed or not. It just depends on the numbers. Yeah. But
I would say that I
would think it's smart to postpone.
Yes, agreed. But what I would say is especially with films and cinema, especially after what happened with the shooting in Colorado, any theater, any studio associated with a tragedy that could be prevented is likely to take the steps to prevent anything to happen. I mean, just remember after Colorado. So this is the Dark Knight Rises, the shooting that happened in Colorado, Boulder, I think. They got sued. AMC got sued because they should have been protecting people. And I think that theater chains have learned their lessons from that. So even if, and I agree with you, there are people in the United States who are more than willing to run to theaters as soon as they say go. But I am hesitant to believe that a movie theater chain who is liable to be sued in the United States is unlikely to move and do anything about that. And the academies are, I mean, they are international, but they're in the United States, and I don't think they're gonna do anything to put themselves at that risk.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yes, it's a rumor. Yeah.
Now that we'll see if the theater chains are gonna open up or not. But we're gonna get more into that later because we have more stories to get through. Now this one almost broke the internet. Just kidding. It's finally been announced that Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, the Zack Snyder cut, is officially going to be released on HBO Max in 2021. Now, the Snyder cut was very infamous because after Justice League was released, very known that Zack Snyder had left the project, also AKA he left the project for a tragedy situation.
Yeah, he left.
He was also let go from it.
Yes.
Joss Whedon came in and took it over, cut so much stuff out, almost made a totally different film than what Zack Snyder did, and that's what we got for the Justice League. And now they're going to go ahead and, I guess, remake or redo or re-input all the stuff that was cut, and we're going to see Zack Snyder's movie. It's going to be like in episodes. It's not going to be like all in one. So what do you guys think about the Zack Snyder cut being released after all these years? You know, it's funny because, you know, I go through Warner Brothers stuff, and when they post something on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, I always repost it onto our page. And every single time in the Warner Brothers, when they release something, there's always one person that says, release the Snyder cut. Always.
Okay.
So finally, now that's going to stop because they're releasing the Snyder cut. What are your thoughts?
So I want to refer you guys back to Sonic the Hedgehog. I know it's a weird transition back to something that happened before, but if you just bear with me here. We had talked about Sonic the Hedgehog being that moment in which fandom really deeply influenced how filmmaking is made. And I think that this is now an equal moment to that because it's ridiculous, amazing, but also powerful to see that while I might not be a fan of Zack Snyder, I am glad that he is able to see his vision through, even though he had gone through tragedy. Because you're right, there was a lot of infighting with DC and Zack Snyder, but ultimately he was developing a 6-hour movie, and when his daughter committed suicide and he had to leave, and then they would replace him with Joss Whedon, it was unheard of. It was tragic. But what we got was an unfinished product, right? It was a product that was clearly messed around with. And that's where you got the mustache gate, right? The fake mustache and the upper lip thing that Henry Cavill had to deal with. I would like to hear, and obviously I would, if we can ask Joss Whedon, he'd probably say, hey, I'm glad he's giving me, but imagine Dan, you making a movie, you having to drop out, and then Mike taking over. And how would you feel? And Mike, how would you feel if Dan all of a sudden said, "Yeah, that's not relevant at all anymore," and then Dan goes on and finishes his movie and erases your movie?
Yeah,
how would you feel?
That's normal. I always do that.
Well, I want to hear Mike's.
You don't exist anymore.
I always take credit for Dan's work. What are you talking about?
But how would you feel? How would you feel if Dan all of a sudden takes over? He's like, oh, that doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of. It's different. It's funny, but what happened with the film Artificial Intelligence, Stanley Kubrick's project, when he got very sick and Steven Spielberg took over. What was funny, what a lot of people didn't know was that People assumed that Steven Spielberg like grabbed Stanley Kubrick's project and like twisted it and did his own ending, and people were pissed off. They're like, "That's not a Kubrick ending. You ruined his vision." And Steven Spielberg was like, you know what? A lot of people don't know. He was the one that wanted me to end the film this way, and he actually did the best he could to follow a Kubrick's vision, and still got crap for it. So, I think they both did the. I understand that, but I think Joss Whedon did the best with what he had, and you know, of course, you're not going to be able to match the same vision as the original artist, but how could you? You're your own artist as well, so it's gonna have. The film's inevitably going to have the mix of those two flavors of Snyder and Whedon.
Yeah. So what they're essentially doing, and Zack Snyder for the past week has been announcing and showcasing a lot of the behind the scenes of scenes that they had already shot. Apparently, they had finished making the bones of the movie, but didn't actually complete the film. So their HBO Max or HBO and AT&T, because AT&T owns HBO, is giving Zack Snyder $40 to $50 million to finish the scenes that he had already worked on, and then paste them all together to create this 4 to 6 hour epic. And it's not going to be the full Justice League story that he wanted. Initially, he actually wanted a trilogy, and so he's not going to be able to complete the vision. But it from just hearing it, if you get a chance, like research Comic-Con and him talking about Zack Snyder talking about his version of the movie, it sounded crazy. It sounded amazing. It sounded like a venture. Like it was not the Avengers. It was its own thing, and it sounded really, really badass.
Also, I mean, I doubt this is a spoiler because this is a huge story. Darkseid was originally going to be a larger role in this film. Was actually going to be in this film, really, because he was not in Justice League at all. They removed him in the theatrical version, but there was going to be a cool fight scene between Ares and Darkseid.
Yeah, I wouldn't say any more than that in case people don't want to get spoiled by it, because us nerds, you and I, know what that was going to be, and I would say that if you don't want to be spoiled, you shouldn't be spoiled right now by us. If that's cool.
Spoil it. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine. But yeah, so also the actor who was playing Darkseid came out and said he was playing Darkseid the whole time. There's all this other crazy stuff that was cut out that I'm actually interested to see what we're gonna get.
Yeah, so, and even Ben Affleck came out. Ben Affleck, everybody's behind the movie
they support the movie. Everyone supports the movie.
Yeah, and they're gonna do reshoots, and I think the one that stands out to me is Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck kind of felt like he got booted. He came out and he was like, "Thank you, everybody. Thank you." Oh shoot, who's the guy who did Mallrats? Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith. He was like, "Thank you, Kevin Smith, for your his enthusiasm to make this," because it was Kevin Smith who really pushed this to get through.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, he's the one who like asked Zack Snyder like what was in it, and then he did a couple of like YouTube videos where he was like talking to him and getting a description, and he described beat by beat what Zack Snyder was going to do, and just went on about it, just how amazing that sounds. So I would say that this is Kevin Smith's doing, and I think it's awesome to watch.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, same here. Next story up that we got was the newly released trailer for Tenet, written and directed by some guy, Christopher Nolan. I'm just kidding.
Who?
Exactly. It's a small little film, independent film. No one's gonna probably go see it. I'm just kidding. So it stars Robert Pattinson and John David Washington, and so this movie. So Christopher Nolan is known as like a cinephile, shooting in film, rejecting digital, and also but loving IMAX as well. Also, he wants Tenet to be the movie that brings cinema back to the public. He its release currently is July 17th, which is in 2 months. And,
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And so Nolan is hoping to, again, revitalize the theatrical experience with his movie Tenet. Now, the movie, we will talk about what we thought about the trailer and what we think about the movie before we talk about what Nolan has said about the film itself. So, real quick, guys, what did you guys think about the trailer for Tenet? Z? Or Mike, go ahead.
No, I think it's it's fun to see more. It's the full trailer. It's the full. It's no. I'm sorry.
it's a 3-minute trailer. It's not short at all.
It is. What's awesome is we get the full story of this film, of exactly what it's about, and about we get hints of time travel, about how to control time, and I think it's all fantastic and in the realm of what Christopher Nolan likes to do, which is this reality bending experience, and I'm looking forward to experiencing this film. And it looks super action packed. I especially liked the in the trailer the arena scene where you just see everybody frozen, and there's like a gunfight happening while everyone's frozen in this gigantic arena. I'm trying to
remember, Mike. There was a film that if you saw it in IMAX, you got to watch the first 10 minutes of the movie, and the first 10 minutes of the movie was that sequence in the arena. Wow. And it was amazing. But for that, for me, I cannot remember what movie I saw in IMAX, because I go to IMAX all the time if I can, and got to watch the first 10 minutes of that film. But yeah, it would look really beautiful.
So you saw that? You saw the first 10 minutes of Tenet?
Yeah. Or a 10-minute scene. I don't know if it was the first 10 minutes or a 10-minute scene. Other ways, it was a long sequence that I got to watch. Still didn't know what the hell I was watching, but I was like, this looks cool. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. The trailer is interesting. It's very much, as we were saying right now, it's a Nolan movie, right? So it's cerebral. It is talking about time travel, and I think it almost feels a little bit like the Cold War, maybe like a time sequence where they're placing it in a certain time, because they're talking about World War III, and the only thing that comes to mind is the Cold War. So I don't know, nothing in the trailer itself kind of provokes to me the idea that this is happening in present time, that it feels like it's actually happening in a different timeline. And that would make it interesting if we find that out through the movie, because it does feel like a spy thriller. I think it's interesting, and I'm, like most Nolan movies, I don't want to see more trailers. I want to see fewer things. I would rather have the experience unravel in front of me and just be surprised and enamored by the ability for Nolan to create this landscape. My biggest problem with Nolan overall has always been PG-13. He loves making PG-13 movies, and I wish that he, for one of these days, actually sinks down and makes a rated R film.
Which would be great, but my thing with Nolan that I love and hate at the same time.
Is it Inception?
No, it's not Inception. I really enjoyed Inception.
Oh, I'm sorry. Michael hates Inception.
I enjoyed Inception as well.
Yeah, Mike loved Interstellar. It's his overthinking.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Interstellar.
His overthinking is his amazing artistic outlet, but also his downfall, in my opinion. It's just the overthinking of everything.
Agreed.
It's been overthought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the same issue. I mean, one of the bigger issues that I have with his stories is that he really, he disguises academia or cerebralness in its, but it almost feels overcomplicated, and he forgets that he's making a movie and not a puzzle, But again, PG-13 is my biggest issue with his storytelling, is that he never doubles down for violence. He loves directing violence, but he never actually showcases violence for what it actually looks like. And I guess that's a style, but I have a problem with it.
Now, what do you guys think about his comment about using Tenet to be the film to revitalize the cinematic experience?
Yeah, dream on. I don't see it as being a realistic thing. I think he may want something, and I think at this point he's probably not going to get it.
Mike?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. But one thing I wanted to mention was, which I thought was interesting, was that Hans Zimmer is not the composer for this film, which is interesting. So he's actually doing Dune. He's doing Dune. There's going to be a 20.
Denis Villeneuve stole Hans Zimmer away from Nolan?
He did. And Ludwig Göransson is taking over for it. He's the guy who composed for Black Panther, Creed, and Crazy.
Yeah, he's good.
No, he's good.
Fantastic.
So,
he did Mandalorian as well. Yeah. He's got some great.
Go down or anything. I think he just kind of like is going different.
Yeah, I'm surprised because he is in the Disney wheelhouse a lot for composer Ludwig. So that's interesting that he's gone over to. Wait, does Nolan now belong to WB still, or was there was like a whole deal that he left WB, right? Oh well. Anyways, this is like a new thing. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to our last story. So with us knowing before everything happened that there was going to be Jurassic World 3, Jurassic World Dominion. What do you guys think? Which was going to bring back Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World. The people were saying like, "Oh, that's the trilogy." You know, there was Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park 3. That ended that trilogy. Then they brought it back with Jurassic World, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, now Jurassic World Dominion. The producers were asked, "Is that it for Jurassic World?" And they were saying that no, they're going to go and continue the projects after Jurassic World Dominion and beyond. So I guess they're going to establish themselves with this new bunch of films and other media. What do you guys think about? Would you like to see more Jurassic Park with the franchise?
I'm really happy that Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum will be returning in this. And I mean, it's all nostalgia. That's all it is. So like with them returning, that's fantastic. But it's interesting that they mentioned how they're going to end this film. So I guess it's no spoiler. They've already talked about it. They said the dinosaurs are no longer going to be contained at the end of this film. So I guess at the end of this film, it's going to be like a dinosaur apocalypse, which will be interesting.
Dinopocalypse?
Dinopocalypse,
yeah.
On TBS, now I didn't see it, but it was the Battle of Something Rock, which was like a short Jurassic Park film. Did any of you guys see that by chance?
I didn't get.
Oh,
do you know what?
Wait!
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the 10-minute clip that they revealed? The short story where they're at a camper and all of a sudden, I forget what kind of dinosaur, but attacks them. Is that the one you're talking about?
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Oh,
I just heard great things about it.
Yeah, it's a really great short. It's taken from the
Battle of Big Rock. It was an all-new short of Jurassic World.
Yes, so. I've seen that. Yes, it was beautiful. I thought it was a really interesting story told from the perspective of the everyday person. It's a family that's camping, and all of a sudden they get attacked. However, I thought it was campy. I thought it was ridiculous because, of course, you get the T-Rex at the very end that saves the day, and you're like, okay, but why don't you just eat everybody else because you're a T-Rex? It's ridiculous, but it was kind of like a sort of like a teaser prequel to the third part of the series.
No, but my question is, would you want to see more stuff like that? More content from the Jurassic World period.
You know, there's a TV show called Love, Sex, and Robots. I think that's correct.
It's a fantastic show. Yes.
Did I get that right? Okay. I would like to see a version of that with Jurassic World. Different directors, different storytellers telling the story of Jurassic World. I wouldn't want to see a short form, anything other than that.
It'll be a quick correction. Love, Death, and Robots.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem.
How about if they did like a Dino Hunter in the vein of the Mandalorian, but not like a Dino Hunter where they kill it, but a Dino Hunter where like they try to like get them back somewhere or something. Would you want to see like a TV series of that?
I would like to see a series of that, but I don't think they're capable of doing anything that good.
If they do, Jurassic World, you better pay up for that IP.
Sure. I honestly feel like who's producing all these? I didn't see who's the main studio. Universal, right? Because they're the monster.
Yes, it's Universal.
Yeah.
Yes, Universal.
Yeah, Universal has a terrible track record, as we know with the Dark Universe. That they don't know.
Which ironically, their anniversary was this week.
Right. What happened with that? Yeah. You know, like I don't think they know how to handle franchises, and I think that I love the idea of continuing the series on, Jurassic 3 not being the final one and just continuing on. I think that's really cool. I've always enjoyed, the idea of watching TV shows on the big screen with, like Westworld. But like honestly, they should just put this on a TV series and just spend a shit ton of money on it. I would rather watch that versus having to rush to theater.
Well, they are doing an animated show for Netflix, by the way.
A very PG version, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of Jurassic World specifically, or the Jurassic Park franchise, or
the Jurassic Park franchise. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're doing an animated show.
Oh,
yeah.
And,
maybe they're doing the Dino Hunter.
No, they're doing a kids show for sure. A kids show.
Quick tangent. There is a Matrix version of what you were talking about, Z. Of a collection of shorts with different directors for. It's called The Animatrix. If you've never seen it, I would recommend it. It's more than 15 years. It came out in 2003. I would recommend checking it out. It's a fun watch if you've never seen it before. So.
I would say that it's the second best Matrix movie released.
Oh, okay,
next
cool.
to the original.
Have you had an opportunity to see that, Dan? I would highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet.
You know what? I want to say I have, but for the life of me, I can't remember it at the moment.
Okay, no worries.
I'm sure I have. The Animatrix. It's such a popular thing.
Yeah. It was fun. It was fun. It was very fun, fantastic.
That's where they introduced Ghost and Jada Pinkett Smith's character, right? Or maybe not.
I wouldn't have thought so. It was more of like a serialized history of the Matrix, and it was a really cool storytelling technique.
Yeah, there weren't any characters from the films. They were all like subplots.
I used to play the video games a lot, so maybe I'm cross.
Okay. Yeah, I believe. Them. Yeah, I could be. I obviously they tie into the lore and the story, but the main characters in each one of the shorts are not in the film as far as I know. So
okay. So that's the movie news of the week, which was a lot. Thank you for bearing with us. Now we're gonna go ahead and head over to the movie review. Movie menu. So the movie we're reviewing is The Lovebirds, directed by Michael Showalter, written by Aaron Abrams and Brendan Gall, starring Issa Rae, Kumail Nanjiani, and Paul Sparks. Here's the plot. A couple, Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani,
you got it.
Nanjiani experiences a defining moment in their relationship when they are unintentionally embroiled in a murder mystery. All right, guys, we have all seen this film, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So we will decide this movie is worth a delivery, watch it immediately, curbside takeout, wait, not so rush, not in a rush, take your time, like to go watch it, or leftovers, toss this film in the trash. So we will keep it spoiler free, and also we'll mention you could watch this on Netflix. It was out this weekend. So let's rate this film. Z, you can go first.
I'm a fan of all things rom-com. So, it could have been a bad movie and I would have probably still enjoyed part of it. But I think that the Kumail and Issa Rae, I believe this movie was an Issa Rae vehicle. And all it did was really show me how amazingly funny she is. I know that she has done a lot of TV, and I know that Kumail has done a lot of movies. Kumail. But this movie was, I never once strayed off or looked at my phone. I really, really enjoyed this one. So I would say whatever the dine-in equivalent is, I keep forgetting
delivery.
What it is.
Delivery.
It is definitively a delivery. Watch this immediately. I actually recommended it to my mom as soon as I finished watching it. It was a lot of fun.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I don't know, soft delivery. It was in between curbside and delivery for me. So
Mike,
but
commit yourself.
Okay, I'll commit. It is a delivery. I'll go along with it because I agree with Z's. Our leads are fantastic. Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae their chemistry together is fantastic, which is one of the most important things in a rom-com film like this. And they work really well off of each other, and it's fun to see them as the bickering couple, and they do that very well. I'm a big fan of Michael Showalter as well. He's also directed the films Hello, My Name is Doris. What else did he do? But he was originally from
The Big Sick. He did The Big Sick.
Yeah,
as
The
well.
Big Sick. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, The Big Sick, which also has Kumail Nanjiani, which is his film, which I would recommend as well if you haven't seen. Michael Showalter was one of the original members in the comedy troupe The State from MTV, and then later was in Stella.
Oh yeah. He did the summer camp one. What was it?
Wet
Hot American Summer.
Red Hot American Summer.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know they were involved with that. That whole comedy troupe was involved.
That is amazing. That's hilarious. Like, I highly recommend you watch it.
I wasn't a big fan of it, but
it was great.
Yeah. Dan, go ahead and give your or Mike. Are you sorry?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm kind of ran off there. Oh, delivery. Dan, thank you, Z.
I also am going to say delivery. I thought the movie was so much fun. Like you guys had mentioned, Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani is so well chemistry with each other. And I wouldn't even consider this so much like a rom-com. It's actually classified more of as an action comedy crime film.
Okay.
But there is that relationship aspect between the two that really guides the story. But the circumstances that they fall in is super funny and it's super ridiculous. But you follow along because you really enjoy these two leads together. And I thought the trailer itself would have given a lot away, but there's still more in this film that you to watch that's worth watching, I would say.
I would agree with you on that. I think the trailer did not do a disservice to this movie, which is saying a lot because this is the movie that's easily spoiled in a movie.
And this movie was supposed to come out was supposed to be theatrically released, and then Netflix acquired it to be released in May, which it was supposed to be released in May theatrically, I believe, or in April. One of these. We were supposed to review it in theaters back, and the fact that it was acquired by Netflix, I think, works in its favor because more people are able to watch it, and so far, it's been getting like really well reviews, especially from us, which matters.
So it was initially going to be released in theaters on April 3rd, and Paramount decided to just simply give it. It wasn't acquired by Netflix. It wasn't bought by them. It was actually just given to Netflix by Paramount. We went like, here you go, do something with it, which is awesome. I think that ultimately what favors this movie above all other rom-coms, because I really walked out of this movie kind of thinking to myself, like, how did this movie make more sense in the rom-com field than in the other movies that I've seen just recently that are rom-coms? And it has to do with chemistry, absolutely. The chemistry between Kumail is amazing with Isa. But I think this movie overall
Issa,
but I think that this
Issa
movie
Rae.
This movie really does work so much well because of the pacing of the film. It moves fast. It goes from skit to skit. And because you enjoy these characters, you're willing to forgive a lot of the weird things that happen. There's a lot of setups that happen at the very beginning of the movie that pay off at the very end of the movie. And I think that I've seen that in other rom-coms, and it leads me to groan or roll my eyes at the very end where you're like, oh, of course you've been setting it up for this thing. This movie, you're willing to forgive all that because the two leads are so awesome together that you're just willing to go with it, and you go like, oh yeah, and now we're going to watch an orgy, and here we are, and you're totally okay with it.
But also, I really enjoyed the fact that it shows their relationship, but also shows that like in most rom-coms, they're always like perfect or something. But these characters have so much flaws, even with each other, even with how they treat each other, and we see all the flaws that are within this character. So I feel like us regular human beings appreciate to see some of those realistic qualities in a relationship that we could be like, oh, okay, it's not like in other rom-coms where like they find some flowers somewhere and they just meet me at the top of a tower, at midnight.
What rom-coms are you watching? You're not watching rom-coms. If that's what you're getting out of it, you're watching a romance. You're not watching a rom-com. That's not. Yeah, you're categorizing the wrong thing. Rom-coms are all about deficiencies in the relationship. That's what makes them comedic. It's that drama that drives that. It's, like if you watch Sleepless in Seattle, you're annoyed by some of those characters. You're not actually enthusiastic. When Harry Met Sally, you really dislike Harry because he's a pompous asshole. And in this movie,
that is a rom-com.
You really hate G because he is, it was funny because I was watching it with the wife and she just kept looking over going like, that's you. And I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm annoying. Because that's, yeah, it was honest. I was okay with it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
but Harry Met Sally is a rom-com. They're rom-coms. They are rom-coms.
That's what I'm saying.
They are.
That's what I'm telling you, is that though they're rom-coms, but the characters are not these lovable, amazing creatures. That's a romance. A rom-com is all about those deficiencies and trying to figure things out. Even like movies like Joe vs. Volcano, like that's like a rom-com that's based around this shtick, but it really plays out really well because you really cannot stand Tom Hanks's character in that story. And in this movie with Gibran, I couldn't stand him at all, and it was like watching a mirror because he was equally annoying as I was when he kept on commenting on like the metal thing that you get your milkshake in. Like, what is the deal with this metal thing? It's like, it makes no sense. All those things just make this movie that much more enjoyable because you get to know the characters and you get on this other right. So this is also, as you said, a mixture of two different styles. And I love the way that they mix the murder mystery in its silliness. It does a really good job of playing Clue without you feeling like you're watching a Clue movie.
Well, characters are very Clue-ish.
They totally were. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike, what did you think?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was very fun to go on the journey with them. I think some of the jokes were kind of hit and miss for me. Like, really? I felt like it could have gone through a little more passes the script. But I think, overall it was still a fun watch, and the chemistry with the leads and their acting as well carried it nicely, and I think with that it more than compensated for those other parts, so the weaker script. So it was kind of like a comedic Eyes Wide Shut for a moment, which is fun.
Yes.
Which is in the trailer, and it is fun to watch. The whole scene play out the way it did.
And
go ahead.
I'm always like, with these types of films, I like these types of films are always difficult for me to watch for some reason. Like I get not rom-coms, but I mean like I get an unnecessary amount of anxiety when it's like something that somebody does, and then it like the whole film they're trying to avoid the inevitable of. I like how it wrapped up. So without spoiling anything, I enjoyed how it resolves as well.
Yeah, I love the framing of this movie as being the Amazing Race. It's a drop dialogue that happens very early in the movie. So like they're talking about like the relationship and whether or not the relationship can actually last. This happens within the first 5 minutes, and you know they talk about how they wouldn't be able to go on the Amazing Race because they have bad communication, and that leads to the breakup. And then all of a sudden they get into the Amazing Race, because all this weird shit is happening around them and they're unable to communicate effectively. I thought that was an awesome way of framing the whole story. If you're a fan of the Amazing Race, which I am not, but the wife is, and she just looked at me and she was like, we're watching the Amazing Race now. And so I thought that was really fun to watch. So I think there's like a benefit too if you're a fan of like reality TV, because there is this additional element on top of rom-com, murder mystery, The Amazing Race. It's really
also
ridiculous.
like how Kumail was just like so above reality TV because he's a documentarian.
Right. Listen, watch Survivor. It's amazing. It's like it's just great. So there is reality TV out there that's actually worth watching. That's the other one that comes to mind.
I think that's I think we've all heard enough, and I think we're gonna go with Delivery.
All right,
watch this immediately. Any final thoughts before or anything you guys want to say before we end the show?
I hope productions give more movies to Netflix. I want to see more movies that should have been released in theaters. So thank you Paramount for giving that.
Yeah,
to
good job Paramount.
Yeah,
good
totally.
Job,
like it's like, listen, I know we're in a tough time and you've got all these amazing movies, but it's like you have all these amazing movies and it's like you're not giving it away. They're getting money out of it, obviously, but it's like, at the very least, like, release these fantastic movies. I walked out of this movie going, that wasn't a Netflix movie. That was a theatrical release. And that meant a lot.
Do you feel like this movie was like this year's Game Night?
I mean, I would say within the same vein, I wouldn't say that Game Night is like a staple. Do you find like the Game Night's a staple of rom-coms?
No, in the same like, this movie, like, did you expect this movie to be as good as it was?
Oh, that's what you mean. Is it like a weird sleeper? I did. I honestly thought that it was going to be great. The two leads are awesome. I would watch this movie even if it was really shitty.
Hey, yeah, it could.
Did you like Game Night, Mike?
Honestly, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
I have not seen Game Night yet.
Mike, you fail.
I know.
So forget
failing constantly. But it reminded me of Long Shot a little bit. Like it's not exactly like, it's different than your typical rom-com, which I think Long Shot succeeded in as well. It's not the same type of humor, but I think it worked out very well.
Yeah, nowhere near the same type of humor. But I can understand. So I think Long Shot and Game Night, they were different years, but I think that they're in the same vein of films that will otherwise be missed by people if nobody talks about them. Because I didn't think Long Shot was going to be any good until I heard you guys talking about it, and then I watched it, and I was really surprised by how good it was.
Awesome! I'm glad we convinced you.
What I'm telling fans is to go watch this movie. It's worth it.
Yeah, hopefully people are going to go and support and watch it. Especially since there's a new story that I didn't even talk about, but Netflix is canceling accounts that have been inactive for a year, which I don't understand. How can someone own Netflix and not have used it for a year but pay for it?
Yeah.
But then I realized that I've had a gym membership I haven't used in like in about a year. So
it's probably been suspended right now. You'd be lucky. You probably checked it. You probably noticed that you have more money in the bank. It's because they have suspended your account due to COVID.
I'm kidding.
Why would they do that though? I mean, that's money in their pockets, and they're not using up. I don't understand.
Because they're being nice guys. They're being super nice.
Okay, that is a nice thing, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's because Actually, yeah, I don't know.
It's a nice guy. No, it's a nice guy. It's a nice guy. There's no bandwidth. They're not being. Nobody's. If you have an account and you're being charged for it and you're not using it, there's no bandwidth issues there. It's really just a nice guy move.
It is.
It's really cool because what they're saying is like, listen, I'm sorry, but you're not using Netflix enough to keep it here. Have your money back.
But you know how when you watch Netflix and like a TV show and be like, are you still watching? They're going to send out like a email 10 months. Are you still paying?
Oh, are you? Yeah. Are you still logging in? That's what they're going to say.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We had a lot to cover today, which was great. So we here, Movie Menu Podcast Reviews, the Movie Menu Reviews, we say delivery. Go watch the Lovebirds ASAP. Thank you so much to my co-host and senior panelist, Z.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much to my co-host, Mike Stan.
Ooh, thank you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast. Please make sure to go visit our website at moviemenupodcast.com. Once again, that's moviemenupodcast with an S.com. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Check out, we have a couple shows out. We have Movie Menu Interviews, which is a show that we interview up-and-coming filmmakers to discuss their films from idea to completion, or our brand new spin-off show, Movie Menu Classics, your go-to podcast for classic cinema. Go check that out with our new hosts, Vasti Leaf and Heather McLean. It's a very good show. First episode they discussed, It's a Wonderful Life, which is, according to them, their gateway into classic cinema. You don't want to miss out. We got tons of shows and content ready for you to listen. You can subscribe to us at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify. We are on Spotify as well. Or anywhere you listen to podcasts, we will be there. Thank you guys. Until next time, stay safe and thank you. Goodbye.